Hello, this is Sunny. Welcome to the third video in my Ethereum smart contract development tutorial series. I'd like to give a thanks to Blockchain Training Alliance and Finago. In this video, we're going to be looking at how to install the Mist client, using the Mist client to access your wallet, send Ether, and deploy contracts onto the blockchain. We're also going to be looking at a very helpful tool called Etherscan. Here we are at the Ethereum GitHub page. We're going to scroll down to the Mist repository. Once we're here, we're going to go down to the installation section and click on the release page link. This will take us to a list of downloads organized by operating system and architecture type. You can go ahead and either install the executable installer file or download the compressed zip file corresponding to your specific machine. I already have Mist installed on my computer, so this is what it looks like when you open it up. Actually, when you first start Mist, it will ask you for a private key that it will use to generate your address. Ethereum uses public and private keys. If you remember going back to the first video when we were looking at one-way hashes, you have to use the same exact unique bit of data in order to generate the same exact hash. Similarly, you have to use the same private key every time you want to access your individual wallet. You can see other people's addresses. That's their public key. In order for them to log into their address or their wallet, they have to use the same exact private key. This acts as a sort of password. It's one way you can look at it. When you open up Mist, you are greeted by the wallets page. Here you can access different accounts under your main wallet, much like you could in MetaMask. You can also see your last transactions. If you go into the individual accounts, you can see the transactions for that account. Let's go ahead and send some Ether. I have 16.31 Ether. This is actually test Ether, and you can see this by clicking on Develop, Network, and you can see I'm on the Rinkeby test network, much like I was when I was using MetaMask. So when I clicked on copy address, it actually gave me a warning that I was on a test network and to be careful not to send real Ether into this account. So that's fine. We'll just go ahead and send some Ether into here from the main account. Let's just send 1.01 Ether. Here we can select our gas fee. Gas is a required fee that you have to pay every time you make a transaction or deploy a contract. It affects how quickly your transaction is mined into the blockchain. We'll just go ahead and crank it up, and as you can see, the transaction will probably be mined within 30 seconds. That's all fine and dandy. Every time you try to make a transaction, it'll ask you for your private key to confirm your identity. So this may be difficult for you to see, but the 1.01 Ether is actually here. It's just faded out in my latest transactions. This is because my node is not completely synchronized with the blockchain right now, but once it does get synchronized with the blockchain, all of these transactions will start to get confirmed. We can go to the contracts page and see the contracts we've deployed, and also the custom tokens that we've created. Let's go to deploy new contract. You can choose who deploys the contract. This is important because some contracts can have a owner modifier. For example, let's say you wanted to create a mintable token, but you only wanted the person who deployed the contract to have the ability to mint this token. You can actually code this modifier into your smart contract using Solidity and have it so whoever deploys the contract is set as the owner of the contract, and you can actually apply this only owner modifier into specific functions so that functions can only be called by the owner of the contract. You can also transfer ownership to other addresses if you wish. So this is cool because it gives you some flexibility in management of your contracts. If you remember going back to the Remix IDE, we have our contract here, and it starts with Pragma Solidity caret the version of Solidity that your code is written in. Here we have an empty contract called myContract with an empty constructor function. Let's go ahead and create a very simple contract So we have two variables, x and y. X is equal to 5, y is equal to 3. And in our constructor function, we are just going to add them together. When the compiler determines that your code is complete, it will allow you to pick a contract to deploy. I'm going to select my contract and select how much gas I'd like to provide. Go ahead and deploy the contract. It should ask me for my key. And it says created contract, 0 of 12 confirmations. So that is how you use the Mist client. We can also use a helpful tool called Etherscan. This is the Rinkeby Etherscan. All you have to do is Google Rinkeby Etherscan or Ropsten Etherscan or whatever testnet you're on, and it should pop up. You can actually search addresses or transaction hashes or look up specific blocks on these blockchains and get some really useful information about them. Here is the Etherscan for the public Ethereum blockchain. All you have to do is look up etherscan.io. That's the URL. And this is for the mainnet. So these are very useful tools when you need to look up some specific detailed information about, say, a specific transaction or a contract. And that is how you use Etherscan and the Mist client to interact with the blockchain.